5, 6, 7, 8.
Spotlight.
On stage at MMT.
Spotlight.
I meet the cast, crew, and company.
Spotlight.
Sit back, on
relax,
stage
and
tonight.
give us a spotlight on stage at MMT.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Stage. This afternoon we have Joan and Jen, and I will let them each introduce themselves to our at-home viewers.
Hi, I'm Joan Hoffman.
Hi, I'm Jen Fischer.
It's always a little
great
silly.
first answers.
I wasn't sure if we were supposed
Did
to
we
say
do that
something
okay?
about
Yes,
ourselves,
feel
like when
free.
we started with you guys, but
Feel
Joan
free.
said nothing, so I was like,
Well, that's a good point because the very next question that we have for you both is, how long have you guys been with us, whether it be at Open Air Theater, which is I think where both of you started technically, and then transitioned over to the indoors with us. So Jen, why don't you answer that one first?
okay. So I started with Young Frankenstein in 2013.
Yes.
And then I did every summer until the first year that you guys started indoors. I didn't do anything with you guys because babies.
Yes.
And then I started back up here, and it's so nice being inside. With
Yes,
bugs
indeed.
and stuff. I almost forgot how
Yeah.
rough it was outside, but it's lovely.
And I started in 2013 as well. I thought it was 2012, but it's 2013. It was crazy for you.
That's
Oh,
right.
I love that show. That was so much fun. The same year
Same
you
year,
were
I
doing.
didn't know
Yep,
that.
yep, yep.
Funny.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. And so I was at the DPAC camp, summer camp, every year.
Yes, indeed.
It felt like
And
summer
then,
camp.
then here.
It sure was. That was a hot year too.
Yeah, it
We
was.
get, we were
It's
we
really
were
hot.
wet and crazy for you. We had some rain and heat,
Yep.
and
I mean, my
we were wet
costumes
from
were
sweat.
Nothing, so I
Well,
was fine.
That's true.
We
That's
got
true.
rained out one night for Crazy for You. We were there, and I think we were in costume and everything.
Yeah.
And we got rained out.
And
That
that
was a
was what was
drag.
so unpredictable at the park was that even the weather people would call for chance of rain or chance of sun or whatnot, and we would get to the park and it was almost like its own little Bermuda
Yeah.
Triangle where it would do the opposite of whatever was around it. Flemington would be sunny and it'd be pouring at the park, or New Hope would be raining and it would be beautiful and sunny at the Titusville Park. So you never knew what would happen.
Yeah,
It was a surprise a minute.
It was always a treat. So we're going to keep with the onstage info for just a minute. And why don't you, Joan, we'll go to you first this time. Why don't you let the people at home know some performance experience that you had before you started performing with us?
Well, it all started in a small town in the Midwest. I was performing as a kid, not for real, but because I wanted to. Like, I'd go out and sing to the people going down the street on the bus. And I really wanted to do showbiz. And I auditioned for a children's show and got the part. And my father said, no, you're not going to do that. You're not going to hang around with those kind of people. Those kind of people.
Yeah, well, here we are.
So nothing happened. And I was in high school. I didn't do the shows in high school. I was part of the drill team with the band.
Sure.
The girls in the cowgirl outfits and stuff.
Mhm.
Well, choreography's always been a challenge. And as we know, and so I would learn the routines and stuff. We did a new routine every week. But I had problems with the GPS part of it. And, you're supposed to be in these formations. And so you're supposed to be on the 15-yard line doing this. And I looked around, and it's like, these aren't the people I was supposed to be with. It's the other 15-yard line. So I, do this all the way down the football field, and ta-da, I get there on time. So that was sort of showbiz. And then I decided when I was, like 12 years old, there had to be a better place than Ohio where I lived. And I saw a movie and said, I want to move to New York. So fast forward, I did move to New York at a very young age. But I didn't do showbiz because I was busy making a living as a graphic designer for Time Life Books, which was great. And the plus side was we had this studio where everybody worked and stuff. And every afternoon, for some reason, I would sort of burst into show tunes. And everybody would come in, including the boss. And, so I was just a ham. So then I got into improv because there was this thing called the Learning Annex. Do you remember that? It was a paper that they would put out, and they would offer workshops in various things. One of them was improvisation. So I went, and I met these people, and we formed our own comedy group. How unusual in the 80s
Yeah.
to have an improv group. But we had a great time. We stayed together for a long time. And it was great because I didn't have to learn lines.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the group went on to bigger and better things. One guy, Peter Honorati, was one of our original guys, and he's in California. He does millions of things. Anyway, so that was that. And then we broke up. Everybody was getting married and having babies and stuff. And so nothing happened for a long time. Then I sort of got back into it in community theater in New Jersey, because I was in New York for all that. And anyway, I was taking a voice lesson from Jen Gursky,
All right.
who had students who were going to audition for you guys.
Sure.
And she said, you should audition. They do these plays in the park. I said, plays in the okay. Improv, just say yes.
Yeah.
And so I did, and here we are.
Yes,
And the rest is
indeed.
history.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Joan, you've got some amazing stories.
Yes.
Maybe not for this time, but some amazing New York.
If we start our podcast,
Stories.
you'll be one of our first guests. Jen, how about yourself?
Same question, yeah. So much less interesting than that. Yeah, I did theater in college, and nothing super exciting, honestly, because I wasn't a music major.
That's not what I've heard. TCNJ, correct?
Yes.
So I've heard that you were in an all-star production of Godspell.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, yes.
Okay.
Honestly,
Yes.
that was probably the best production
Okay.
I was in, because that was the first year that the guy who was the head of the music department retired, and we kind of got to be our own thing.
Interesting.
Hire our own director. She cast whoever she wanted. She didn't know who was a music major and who was not.
Nice.
So,
Patrick Lavery was in the show,
So,
and her
yeah.
husband, John.
yeah, so I got to be in the show with a lot of friends and have a lot of fun. Before that, it was a lot more older shows. Not that I don't like those shows,
Sure.
but just kind of, to me, less like fun
Yeah,
shows.
yeah.
But I did meet John
Hey,
doing that. so,
something to be
that's
said
pretty
for
good.
that.
My first show, I actually auditioned and didn't get the role I wanted and was like, whatever, so I didn't do it. And then somebody got like really sick, and they reached out to me and they were like, hey, could you come in and be one of these, like, I don't know, mean girls? And I was like, okay. And my husband was John Fischer. That was the very first show I ever did with John.
How
and he
funny.
was my husband in it. So, yeah, and now he's my husband now. So it worked out pretty great.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know, I did some community theater while I taught music, so that was really like what took up a lot of my time. And then I found you guys, and I like the shows you do, and actually got cast for stuff, so I
Oh.
stuck around here. And everybody in the show is so nice. I mean, that makes a huge difference to me. There have been shows I've done. I did an Into the Woods back where I grew up on the coast, and I was one of the sisters who spends a lot of time off stage.
Yeah, yeah.
So it makes a big difference whether you get along with the cast.
Yes,
and
indeed.
I literally spent all of my time doing homework for my grad classes because everybody was really cliquey. Nobody wanted to be friends with me because I wasn't in their other shows in the past.
Yep,
And
yep.
so, you know, I mean, I have done productions that were less, like lower quality than that, but had so much more fun. And I would rather stick around for that. You guys also have the quality, which is fantastic. But I mean, when I first graduated college, I did some stuff at like dinner theater stuff that was like
Sure. I've been there.
not great, but the people were amazing, and I
Yep.
had such a good time. So, you know, that's what I really look for, because it's a hobby. I mean, you're
Yeah.
looking for a good time. You're not getting paid for this, so
Right.
you want to make some
Right.
friends and have a good time.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And we touched on this in another interview, but a lot of the times, sometimes, unfortunately, there's a stigma associated with community theater about the clickiness that can occur. And I think it happens, the stigma, I mean, because sometimes it really does, it is there, the clickiness. And it's something we try and make sure does not happen. I mean, to a certain extent. There's always going to be groups of people that, you know, flock together. But we always try to encourage people, especially when there's a new person in the fold, if there's someone in a show that's never been with us before, to kind of welcome them in at least right off the get-go. Because at some point or another, everyone's been a new person, and everyone's like, holy, am I going to be able to do this?
Yeah.
Because our rehearsal process is a lot shorter than some other theaters. So I know the first time anyone comes and does a show with us, you're kind of like, oh, it's really only 2.5 weeks of rehearsal.
Yeah. And it's hard to make friends in that time.
Yeah.
Although my first show, I did manage to make such good friends with Michael Moeller that I caused him to be a little bit late for one of his entrances.
Oh, that's
So
right.
we have a good time here.
So for anyone that doesn't know, so Jen Fischer was Elizabeth, who was Lewis's wife in the show.
Fiance.
They never get married.
Fiance.
But don't
and
touch her.
Don't touch her. Yeah, please don't touch her. And Michael Moeller played the captain,
or
the general.
Yeah.
He had the
Bürgermeister.
not
The wooden
mechanical,
arm.
wooden arm. And he has a few different select scenes within the show. So he had, again, big breaks within it. So he,
All opposite scenes from me.
right.
So
So Jen and Michael, I guess, were backstage, well, not backstage, in the woods at the park in a cabin that was called our dressing room. And Michael was supposed to make a big grand entrance. The whole ensemble's waiting for him on stage. And like the every attention on stage like turns upstage to him every show, and he wasn't there. And
We love you, Michael.
we do love you, Michael. And again, it's not your
Wer
fault.
ist der Bürgermeister?
And I think something happened, and either someone ran off to get them, and all you hear is, I'm coming!
I remember him
Oh,
sitting
chug,
at the
chug,
table,
chug,
and
chug.
we hear silence, and he goes, oh. And like I realized that was him. Of course, then payback, he did that to me in Little Mermaid. And I was on stage
That's
waiting for him.
exactly right.
He took like a full 50 seconds to get out there.
That's right.
So maybe the lesson is not put the two of you in shows together
Probably,
anymore.
yeah.
Or at least when we do. And here it should be easier because it's a lot closer than the park used to be.
That's true.
Yeah.
That football field.
It's
to
like a
run
track
across.
and field to get to the stage.
All right, my note cards are switched up. Let me ask you what you both do outside of theater. What do you do on a normal day? Now I know it's not a normal year at all, but typically, what's your
Yeah,
life
I
like?
mean, right now I am a kindergarten teacher
Yeah.
to my 5-year-old, which is
How is that?
going. It's happening.
Okay.
It's a thing that's happening. I wouldn't say it's going well, but it's happening. She's getting through kindergarten. Virtual school is not for the weak.
I can't
Yeah,
even imagine.
yeah.
I mean, expecting a 5-year-old to look at this like little screen and stay focused on that. And then it's so funny because I see her teacher and I know she's a real person, but I wonder if my 5-year-old looks at her like this is some robot who's like instructing her to do this
like a
stuff.
TV.
show.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, where's the drive to do the work
Right.
when it's like just some person she doesn't
Yeah.
even know? And is it really a person? And I don't know. But before that, I taught elementary music,
Okay.
a little middle school as well. I loved teaching chorus. I taught chorus most of those 10 years, and that was fantastic, singing stuff with the kids. That was my greatest time. And then once I got pregnant with my son, then my husband was finally done getting his doctorate, which I kind of sugar mommied his way through that with my teacher salary. But anyway, he finally had graduated and gotten a real person job and was like, you know what, why don't you stay home with the kids for a little while, which worked out really
Amazing.
great because obviously
Yeah.
now I can be home for virtual school.
Yeah.
So it worked out nicely. So
Yeah,
here we
that's
are.
great. And John also has done some shows with us here.
Yes.
Let's see. I think he started with Wait Until Dark. Is that correct?
Yeah, 2 summers ago now.
And then was also in the 80s, ladies of the 80s.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
was
two gentlemen.
slated to be in Matilda, which obviously we was scheduled for last April, which when we closed down was kind of put on pause.
Yeah, we were about to start rehearsals for that show like Monday, and we shut down on Friday.
I mean, he's still singing those songs. He is ready, guys. When
Keep
that
singing
comes
'em.
up, he is ready
Yeah.
to go.
Nothing official, but telling to keep singing them. And Joan, how about yourself?
Well, I was a graphic designer and art director for many, many years, and I took early retirement because I couldn't take it anymore and commuting to New York. And I started my own cookie company because I made thousands of cookies over the years. I went to pastry chef school at night while I was working
Amazing.
and did my externship in San Francisco. Anyway, so I started a cookie company. and it was really fun, but a whole lot of work.
Yeah, I can
And
imagine.
so I did that for like 6 years. And then Hurricane Sandy came along, and the kitchen I was renting had to be pressed into action as an emergency service place.
Sure.
So I couldn't get in there. It was about the time I was supposed to be starting on Christmas cookies. So I had to skip it that year, and which I did. And then I said, I've already done this. I'm done with this.
Next.
And then I got interested and joined the Master Gardeners and spent a whole lot of time with that. That was a big volunteer thing where you help teach people and do projects and stuff. Anyway, so I did that, and then I got involved with you guys. And so I'm not working now, and I'm not doing Master Gardeners now or cookies, but we moved.
Yes.
Orchestrated house sale and buying a place and moving during a pandemic.
Yeah, all
And
this year.
that's all this year. So we're still in boxes and we're still, trying to get set up. And I'm homeschooling our 3 cats, which is challenging.
Are they doing
Challenging.
okay?
Yeah.
Are they doing okay?
They're doing okay. Yeah, a little behavior issue here and
Yeah.
there, but pretty good.
Yeah, a move is a big deal in any year.
Yeah.
To do it this year, I can't even imagine.
Insane. Absolutely insane.
But it's all done. It's all good.
Well, we're in there, but we still have 3 storage spaces
Ay,
full
ay,
of stuff.
ay.
So, but yeah, it's good. I'm glad we did it when we did.
Good.
So,
Good. All right, so we're going to move back to the onstage type question now. Joan, we'll come to you the first for this one. We want you to kind of share with the audience some favorite roles or shows that you've experienced as a performer here, whether it be at open air or at MMT.
well, of course, my favorite role, although it's tied, is Jeanette from the Full Monty.
That was also my favorite of yours.
I
So
love-
good.
I love Jeanette. And she, aside from having a lot of the same DNA, she's sort of, I stole things from a couple of people that I know. One was my neighbor when we were growing up, whose name was Mabel. And she smoked constantly and had this smoker's cough. She was always half lit, too. She had these long fingernails and always with a cigarette. And she'd say, "Oh, buddy," like that. And another person that I know who's like, "What? What's so complicated about it?" Anyway, so those are 2 of my favorite people put into the favorite character. And then, of course, Aunt Eller. Love Aunt Eller. And Weezer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So these Shrinking Violet characters, I really
Yeah,
Very
of course,
quiet
yeah.
to
Timid.
your
Yeah.
characters.
Now, I have to ask you quickly because not a lot of people produce, certainly, and now not a lot of people know the Full Monty so much anymore. So did you have any prior experience with the show at all, other than maybe the movie?
None. I watched YouTube videos, but just read her dialogue, and instantly, well, I did anyway, who she is and what she sounds like.
Yeah, the words
And-
are great.
And she was, she thought she was really glam. She thought she
Oh,
was
yeah.
still really hot because, she was warning the guys against her, so she'd get all glammed up.
Yes, great character.
So much fun.
All right, Jen, over to you.
I guess some of my favorite roles. I loved doing Reno and Anything Goes. I did that at the Kelsey. Probably my favorite role, which I had no idea that would be my favorite role, was Amneris in Aida. Like, I remember seeing that show on Broadway, and I kind of thought the show was a little bit boring.
Same.
I remember like looking around the theater and being like, this theater is really beautiful, and just really like kind of wandering with my eyes because I wasn't super taken in with the show. Then I got really into the soundtrack, so I did really enjoy the music that was happening, but I just didn't really get drawn into the show, and I didn't remember much about Amneris, honestly. I just thought she was like really bratty and stupid. And then when I really looked at all of her songs and her dialogue, I was like, wow, she has the biggest change. She grows so much, and
Huge
it was
roller
so fun to take that on. So that honestly ended up being such a surprise, but my favorite
Great.
role that I got to do.
Well, it's interesting because we talked about Full Monty. It's the same feeling I have towards Aida is that it doesn't get produced widely, and maybe not a lot of people know it. There was talk of having a revival, I think, before everything was going to shut down. So maybe that's still on track. I don't know. But I had a similar experience to you as I saw it on Broadway. Great singers, amazing production values. But as we mentioned with the show in another interview, the technical aspect was almost distracting to a point. So I was like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. And I was not looking at the people who were telling the story, So I kind of checked out.
It's such a tragically beautiful,
gorgeous
love
story. And great score.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Though I skipped on Maris's songs and just sang all of Aida's songs,
Well,
which is unrealistic. But
but for real, the three of those characters have such a strange growth for themselves in the show, but then also together as relationships.
absolutely.
So it's cool to see that happen.
And again, coming from the side of, Jordan and I, as the artistic directors, pretty much choose the shows per season. And it's a difficult balance to think, okay, this is, you can do a Rodgers and Hammerstein show and you're going to sell out, well, in a normal year, and it's going to, bring in the ticket sales. And then you choose a show like the Full Monty or Aida, and yes, Aida's famous as being an opera, so there's some name recognition. And Full Monty was a movie, so there's some name recognition. But you don't know if it's going to bring in the same kind of numbers. And both of those shows were very well attended and did very well. So it's just, it's a gamble. But luckily, both he and I knew the shows and had worked on them before and knew that maybe if the first weekend wouldn't be so big once word got out about what was happening, then the people would come, and sure enough, they did. So
Well, we also trust too when casting a show like that, that our group of company members and then their extended families will send people to us to audition for those shows, and trust that we've picked a show that maybe you haven't heard of, but trust us, come along for the ride, jump in the show and enjoy.
Absolutely. My family's always excited to come for the 60s thing. My mom was like, so am I going to be able to be at the theater? Because I want to be at the theater. I was like, I don't know, waiting for the email. And then the email came out and I was like, guys, they're open. Okay.
yes. So what Jen just mentioned is currently, obviously, we're not doing large-scale musicals, and we haven't really been doing musicals at all. But we're starting to do some very small cast review shows to try and bring music back into what we're doing here. And she will be coming up in our 1960s review in a month or so.
By the time this one comes out, we may already be in the run of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or it may have even been over. So if it's over, I hope you enjoyed the 60s review.
Yay,
And
I
Jen
knew
was
all my
really
words.
great in it. Yeah. Okay. So speaking, we just spoke about shows that you love to do personally. What about a show that you loved to watch as an audience member that maybe you were not part of the production end of it, but you came to see it, whether it was at the park or here, and you had a
I mean, I know my two favorites. One was Hairspray because, gosh, I love that show so much. And I'll never be in it because I can't dance, really.
Oh,
I'm
you
a
can.
medium dancer.
You both can.
Medium.
You both can.
Tapping, okay. The rest is like flexibility is the problem. But that show is so fun. And I remember John and I sat like really close and we're just like smiling through the whole thing. It was
It's
so
a good
great.
time. Hairspray's
And
a good
then
time.
Full Monty, actually, I came, I guess John stayed home with the kids because I remember going home to him and being like, John, that was amazing. If you can get out there, you need to get out there. It is so funny. It's so good. And yeah, I didn't know anything about it, like you were saying before. I kind of knew the movie I'd seen like a long time ago, but it was such a surprise. It was so funny and so good and really kept me so captivated the whole time.
It's
So
very
good
well
job.
written.
yeah.
Well, one that I absolutely love and have never been in is Spamalot. I love that show.
Jen was in it the last time we
Just
did it.
Yes,
yeah.
Lady of the Lake.
I mean, right down to the fish flappers. and
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
all that stuff. And also Drowsy Chaperone.
Uh-huh.
Great.
Yeah, we
You
did that
guys
with
did that
Great
at the
show.
park. I love that.
Great show.
The list goes
2013
on.
maybe.
That
Yeah,
was
it's been a while ago now.
Yeah.
What else? I don't know. There's lots of like, oh,
Yeah,
God,
no,
this
that's-
is so great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, we just love, truthfully, we have our resident company that both of these ladies are part of, but we love that the what we call the MMT family here, they really do come and support each other. And when they're not in a show, and if they have availability, they'll come and sit in the audience. They'll come with a group of friends, or they'll come with a family member and watch the show and still enjoy it just as much as everyone else.
And we know their laughs.
Yes.
We know, that's so and so. Oh, and
yes.
that's so and so's mother's laugh.
Yes.
Yep.
We
And
do.
so
Very true.
so and so's in the audience. This is going to be a great show.
Yep. It's true. We've talked about it in other interviews where the audience really is a crucial part of each of those
Absolutely.
performances, because whether it's a comedy or a tragedy, you want the audience to be engaged, and their laughter, their applause, their reactions, emotions, you can feel on stage.
Yeah.
Whether it's you want the laughter from Full Monty or Spamalot, or you want the just like kind of somberness that comes with watching the women's arc in Steel Magnolias. You want them to be there full throttle with everything that's happening.
You can feel that, I think, and I thought so in improv. Before you even come out on stage, you can feel it. It's like the ambient temperature or the humidity in the air or something. It's the vibe, and in the wings what they're like before you come out. At least I'm psychic. What can I say?
All right, so next question is, and I guess I don't remember who went first, so we'll go back to you, Joan, to answer this one first. Give us a show that you would like to see produced that we haven't produced yet, whether it be, again, over at Open Air or here at MMT.
Well, whether this is appropriate for us, I don't know. I don't think you've ever done it. And this is purely a personal reason why I like it. And it's because it's the first Broadway show I ever saw on Broadway. It's A Little Night Music.
I personally love a little night music.
And I don't think anybody does that
No,
anymore.
it's not widely done.
To do.
I've never seen it.
It's a beautiful
music,
show.
Beautiful
Yeah.
show. Yeah, we saw it in New York.
Yeah,
when
the
it was
last
the
revival.
with
It
Kathy
was
I think I saw-
spectacular.
I think I saw it the first go around
Okay.
with Hermione Gingold
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
and Glynis Johns.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so good, and it was like, this is my first Broadway show.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, and, Sondheim's always about story. And
Yeah,
there's quite a
and
bit in that
laundry
one.
list of words.
Yes.
Yeah.
And another Sondheim. I don't know if you guys have done it or not. Is Company, which lots of
We
people
have not.
done,
We have not.
but you just kind of have lots of people to draw from for that.
Yeah.
And there's a character in that Elaine Stritch did so well.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Indeed.
So-
We'll add both to the list for you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, they're kind of already on the list. And Jen?
I have to say, Joan, if anybody's answer isn't like at least a little bit selfish,
Yeah,
I
come
mean,
on.
come on,
Come
You're
on, let's
listening
be
to
honest.
Chris
She wanted
because
personal
you can sing along
opinion.
with it, right? I mean, come on. But anyway, I just discovered Bright Star a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get to see it on Broadway. I watched bootlegs
Mhm.
of the Broadway show and quickly became obsessed with this bluegrass music
Mhm.
kind of mixed with the Broadway style that's so beautiful.
Mhm.
And the story is so beautiful and heartbreaking.
Yes.
And I just really quickly became obsessed with that show, and nobody does it.
No.
I would love to see that done somewhere, so that's on my list for sure.
We
The staging was
saw
beautiful for
that. Yeah.
That it was one of those shows. It's a new musical.
Done in the style of never taking a blackout.
Yep. So the transitions are it's all essentially choreographed. The moving of the set pieces and the actors in and out of each of these scenes, and then the main character transitions into storytelling about her younger self.
Yeah, like
But they
15
do it
years
on
back or
stage,
something. They
and
put her shoes on her, and she becomes this younger person
Yeah. So
on
it's
stage
incredible
getting
to
dressed.
see that happen, because it's
Yeah, the
theater
staging was
magic
beautiful.
without it's essentially low budget theater magic, which is
Yeah.
what we can do here, especially in the time. So yeah, we'll add that to the list as well.
And now, Jen, we'll circle back to you to answer first on this one. And once again, this answer is kind of different for everyone, but similar for most people as well. And the question, in a roundabout way, is what is it about performing itself that keeps you coming back? Not necessarily just to hear, but coming back to performing. You're donating your time, as we mentioned earlier. It's a lot of work. When we do it here, it's a very concentrated amount of work, so it's hard work. And you have kids, you have a family. What is it about the act of performance? What do you get from it that keeps you coming back to it?
mean, obviously, knowing people enjoy your performance is a lot of the drive. But I have to say, a ton of it is, I was thinking about this before with some other answer that Joan gave, is one of my favorite things here has been that I always get cast in the not so nice girl who comes out, does a number, and then disappears for like a while. And I have gotten to spend so much time making friends with people, just really bonding with people over the experience, and also standing in the wing watching beautiful performances that I didn't get to be a part of, unfortunately, but like I got to watch every night from up close and really enjoy. So that's probably just as big as the actual performance part, is that bonding part and getting to watch everybody else enjoy what they're doing, especially during Aida. Some
That's
of
what I
those
was gonna
group
say.
numbers, and I wasn't in any group numbers.
Sure.
And watching these group numbers and being kind of jealous I wasn't in them, but also just enjoying how passionate all these people were throughout this whole number, and I got to watch that every night.
Next time we'll give you a second wig and you can just swap
Okay,
in.
great.
And Joan, same question for you.
The question was, why do I do it?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's fun.
It is fun.
I don't like to do anything that's not fun, which is why I retired early and why I stopped my cookie business and why I got out of the Master Gardeners. And this is fun. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's good work. It's you have to be disciplined. You have to put a lot of time in it. I like to think about the characters, and sometimes, I'll even go shopping and say, what would so-and-so wear? How would she accessorize this or something? Like, really get into it. And you have something to show for it at the end. It's like, ta-da,
Yeah.
it's here. All that work paid off, and it's like magic.
Yeah.
It's, and a week before, it's like, oh my God, this is such a mess. How is this ever going to happen?
Yeah.
And it does.
It always
Every
does.
single time, and it's so great, and it's fun. And the audience is having fun. It's just great.
And I love part of your answer where you're talking about, kind of stepping into the character. Under our time constraints, it's a very quick process. So once someone is cast, we hope that they will kind of research the part. They will look up videos on YouTube. They will listen to the soundtrack, that kind of stuff. But it's also about bringing a part of yourself into that character so that you can quickly relate to them or find references like you did with your neighbor for Jeanette. Finding quick references that everything about how they move, how they sit, how they smoke, how they drink, how they talk to the boys, all that stuff. It's important, I think, for everyone at home to know that, even though it is a short process, we trust that the actors and actresses will come in with some sort of ideas, base knowledge on their character or the show or whatnot, and they'll try things out at rehearsals, and that's what those 2 weeks are for, not just for learning choreography and blocking and the music, but try stuff out and
I remember
strong
when
choices.
we were doing Fiddler on the Roof, and I was doing Yenta in rehearsal, and I couldn't get through it. I started cracking myself up. I said, my God, I sound like Streisand. And Lewis says, just keep going, just keep going.
Well,
Use Streisand.
she's not wrong. All right, so we're going to switch gears now to the little nod to our Inside the Actor Studio. So we're going to ask you a series of questions, 10 questions. Just answer the first thing that comes into your mind. We'll start with number 1 with Jen.
What is your favorite musical?
That's such a hard question.
It
I
is,
listen
it
to
is.
so many musicals.
Just
and
today. Well, let's say today. What's your favorite musical?
probably Bright Star. I'm going to go
Okay.
with that.
And Joan?
Oh, this is for you to produce or just in general?
Just in general. Just in
Okay.
general.
Yeah.
Tip.
A Funny Girl.
That's a great musical.
That's a beautiful.
Great show.
Speaking of Streisand.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Great.
Likewise, or counterclockwise, I guess. What is your least favorite musical?
Can I name 2?
You can name 2.
Because I don't know, they tie. I really hate Pippin, and I really hate Music Man.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm not going to say which ones I don't like because it will alienate too many people. But I actually like Pippin. I liked Pippin, and I liked Andrea Martin doing.
Yeah.
Oh my
was
gosh.
it Berta?
Berta,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
great. So anyway, I'm not going to say which ones I don't like. I like older big productions.
Fair enough.
That's the thing.
Better
I'm
than
opposite.
Yeah, it's
better
interesting.
than new ones where people are so depressed that they're going to kill themselves.
Yeah.
I love that.
We know those musicals, yes. And again, just like we were talking about earlier, there's an audience for that musical.
Yeah.
There's an audience for that
Yep.
musical.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that in a typical season, we're trying to produce a wide gamut of all of them so that we're not alienating any one group of people. But yeah, I understand. I'm with you.
All right, moving right along. We'll start with Joan for these next two. What sound or noise do you love?
Well, I know David Whiteman said this, but I thought of it first. It's the purr of my cats.
Good
It's
answer.
great.
Good answer.
Great.
Jen?
Yeah, my first thought is a really corny answer, but my kid's laughing.
That's
probably,
not corny
fighting,
at all.
not
It's a
laughing.
great answer. Great answer. Back to Joan. What sound or noise do you hate?
The crinkle of cellophane in the audience.
Oh, yeah.
We went to the opera one time, the real opera one time, and there was a woman sitting next to us going
Yeah.
like through the whole first part of the show, and Chris was ready to climb over the seat and get it. So anyway, open your candy before the show starts.
Indeed.
Well, as an audience member, it's really just you're part of the show. We can hear you. You're not at the movies. The actors at the movies can't hear you because they're a movie. We can all hear you from stage, or the other audience members can hear you sitting next to them.
I was in a show once, and there was an audience that had some difficulty getting around and hearing. And it was like, it was reinterpreted, because we'd say lines on stage and somebody'd say, "What'd she say?" "She said." And so the whole show was, like this echo
It was
the
an
whole
echo,
time. It was weird.
Double show there.
And Jen, same for you. What sound or noise do you hate?
Same feel. My daughter screaming. That's my least favorite right now.
I can
So
understand
there are
that.
ends of the spectrum
I
there.
can understand that.
All right, we'll start with Jen on this one. Joan has a little bit more time to think about it. What is your favorite word?
I mean, my first thought is I thought of moist because people hate it so much. But I mean, a nice moist bread or moist
Yeah.
cake.
It's good.
So
I
good.
personally
A
have no
moist
problem with that word.
towelette?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many positives to it. Why do people
Agreed.
hate that word?
Joan?
Oh, my favorite word. Geez, I don't know. Sleep.
That's a good
That's
word.
a good one.
That
As
is
long
a
as they're
good,
not sleeping while we're on stage.
good word.
And least favorite word?
I would say negative.
Good word.
Liaise. I hate when people take a noun and make it a verb. It's a liaison. Therefore, I liaise. It goes on and on and on and on
I've
and
never
on.
heard anybody say that.
I'm going to administrate.
Yeah.
It goes on. So those words I don't like.
Yeah, the English grammar
Leave
words.
it a
Yeah.
noun. Use another verb.
All right.
All right.
The next one we can bleep out for you.
Yes, we will bleep your answer, so feel free to speak freely. What is your favorite curse word of choice?
Well, there's a couple of them in this.
Go for it.
Oh, you asshole.
Good choice.
Oh, right now I say God damn it a lot. So do my kids, so that's fun.
Little parrots.
You know,
repeating
you
everything
got to
you say.
train them. It's all good. And okay, so what? And I guess we'll start with. Let's go with Joan again. What profession that you've not attempted yet would you like to attempt?
It's a little late, but I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
Like a research doctor, not somebody who's, fixing the kid who fell and hurt the knee, like a research doctor, because it's a mystery, it's solving a puzzle.
Mhm.
It's like I like crosswords and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I would like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have a similar answer. I really strongly considered going into chemistry in college. And now I think, those type of people are studying what's going into the vaccine and stuff.
Sure.
And just to be those kinds of people who are saving the day. Like,
Yeah.
how amazing would that
Solving
be?
the
So
mystery.
solving that, would be awesome.
All right, so then opposite question. What job would you never like to do or never like to do again, or what type of job?
An accountant.
Okay.
That's
No
why
numbers.
God invented.
Calculation.
Yes. Thanks anyway.
I came up with nothing except, I don't know, poop scooper.
Yeah.
Hey,
Like an
it's a
elephant.
job. I mean,
Poop scooper.
zoos,
Not for me.
All right, and the last question is, and we'll go to Jen first on this one. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You tried and you did a good job.
Good answer.
Well, Jesus, it took you long enough.
Another very good answer. Well, thank you, ladies,
Thank you
so
both.
much
Thank
for
you.
coming
Yeah,
and
this is
doing
fun.
this.
It's fun, right?
It is a
Yeah.
good time. And thank you at home for watching this edition of Spotlight on Stage at MMT.
Bye.